If any other team had sent this package and spent this money on Keandre Miller, I would not feel nearly as good about it as I do with the Carolina Hurricanes, because all they fucking do is acquire defensemen and turn them into monsters on their own blue line.
I want to talk about the Hurricanes, though, off the rip, because they make that big trade. First, they sign Logan Stankoven to an unbelievable contract.
Unbelievable.
And then they make the big trade. They bring in Keandre Miller, left shot defenseman, sign him for 8 times $7.5 million. They give up a lot to get him. Mm-hmm. They give up 2 draft picks, including a 2026 first, which, if 2026 firsts are traded, is top 10 protected. Heavily protected pick, so it's not going to turn into Gavin McKenna, Keaton Verhoff, whomever. But they trade that. They trade a second-round pick. They trade a prospect, Scott Morrow, guy who was taken high in the draft, and they get Keandre Miller. Now, Keandre Miller, as he was discussed in New York, was definitely not a problem, but on a team that was stinking and underwhelming, people were like, we wish this guy could be better. Offseason comes, Carolina Hurricanes swoop in, trade a bunch for him when there's rumors that there could be an offer sheet, and now everyone should be thinking Rangers fans are going to be pissed because, as you said, he goes to a team where defensemen go to thrive. He's going to be amazing. We were texting about it yesterday. If anybody has any Keandre Miller stock that they would like to sell, we will pay double.
Yeah, pretty much. And like I like it from both sides, because like you mentioned, the Keandre Miller, like if you were to tell Rangers fans you were going to get that much and he was going to get that much on his next contract, they would have said, okay, cool, let's move on. And Gavrikov going to the Rangers, I think, makes them a better defensive team. And so like every side kind of wins here. But ultimately, if any other team had sent this package and spent this money on Keandre Miller, I would not feel nearly as good about it as I do with the Carolina Hurricanes, because all they fucking do is acquire defensemen and turn them into monsters on their own blue line. So there is no doubt in my mind that Keandre Miller is going to hit another level with the Carolina Hurricanes.
Except for Gustav Forsling. They let him slip through their fingers.
Yes.
Someone else turned him into a good deal.
Famously. Okay, Keandre Miller gets $7.5 million per year, which, as you said, outside of the Hurricanes, that's risky. That's the second biggest AAV handed out to a defenseman yesterday. Ivan Provorov got $8.5 million. You look at what's being thrown around for some of these players. I take trading for, we went into the day, I texted you guys, I was like, someone's going to trade for Keandre Miller today. I didn't know that they were going to give him this big of a contract, but when defensemen, left or right side, are at such a premium, I'd much rather trade for the tall 25-year-old if you've got the assets, with which the Hurricanes absolutely do. This trade, they have so many assets that the pick that's going to go to the Rangers in this deal is going to be the higher of the Hurricanes and the Stars' first-round pick, because they have both of those anyway. So they've got the assets. They've also got $19 million in cap space after this. So they could have, theoretically, by the end of free agency, re-upped a young star player in Logan Stankoven for a very long time at a great number.
That number is so good that like Logan Stankoven should fire his agent.
I thought about that. I was trying to say that nicely yesterday.
That number is so fucking unbelievable. It was 6x6, right?
Yeah, 8x6.
8x6. Jesus Christ, fire your agent.
I mean, if he becomes what we know he's going to become, that's an unbelievable contract for the team. And then they get a top 4 defenseman, and now they still definitely have the dough if they want to sign Nikolai Ehlers. And remember, last year was not supposed to be the year for the Hurricanes. That was supposed to be a transitional year. If they're transitioning into what it looks like they're going to have now, they're going to be unbelievable. So watch out for them. I think the Capitals are going to fall off a little bit. I think we all expect them to. And watch out for the Carolina Hurricanes in the Metro.
We all silly like the mayor.
So what I'll say is, like, last night's game was such a ripe game for overreaction. And it was the first time this season that I've felt like, oh boy, this could really, really get bad this year.
Before or I guess during the baseball, the hockey was happening. And good job, NHL. I think that the pre-Frozen Frenzy 2-game slate was a rousing success. Very good.
I don't remember if I said this on the show or off the show, don't understand how we live in a world in which teams can have back-to-backs before and after the Frozen Frenzy, and yet we only had 2 games the night before the Frozen Frenzy.
Well, we had those
and they
games.
Were the shittiest games
we
ever.
had those games, and they featured the Boston Bruins, the Ottawa Senators, the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the St. Louis Blues, which left us to say, you're only giving us the Penguins tonight? Like you only gave us one good team? And it's the Penguins. The Penguins had to carry the day last night. It certainly wasn't the Bruins because they got rocked, Ben Affleck voice, 7-2 by the Senators. They've now lost 7 of 8 since October 11th, which is the second game of the season. They have the worst record in the NHL. In that span, 29th in goals against per game. And the funny thing of it is, it's not like they're so terrible offensively.
No.
They're scoring 3 goals a game, which isn't good, but it's not... You're going to lose 7 of 8.
It is not the recipe for disaster
They just lose every game.
Right, and it's not the recipe for disaster that everybody was expecting when they were like, oh, this Bruins team is going to be awful. They're not going to be able to score goals. No, they can score goals. What was supposed to be one of their strengths, their blue line, and to a certain extent their goaltending. I don't think their goaltending, I think it's been a little overblown how bad the goaltending has been. Mm-hmm. The blue line has been fucking horrendous. Horrendous.
Let's see where Jeremy Swayman is in. Jeremy Swayman
he had a
has
9-10 he had a 9-10 save percentage heading into yesterday.
Yeah, he has a goal saved above expected of 0.9, which is that's probably like top half of the league.
Do you know how many?
That's top half of the league.
Do you know how many Bruins defensemen have a positive goal differential at 5-on-5?
A positive goal differential. Is it 1?
It is 1. Do you know who that defenseman is?
I feel like it's sneaky could be Nikita Zadorov.
It certainly could sneaky be Nikita Zadorov because it is Nikita Zadorov.
Wow. I mean, he was -1 last night, which granted, if you were a minus in that game, even though you lost 7-2, still kind of bad because it was oops all power play goals.
I know.
I was like, I didn't know that the Senators scored 5-on-5.
I mean, that's another big part of it is that like this team is taking an ungodly amount of penalties.
Yes.
They are second in the league in time shorthanded, and their penalty kill isn't terrible. It's just like middle of the pack, but like you cannot be that stupid and undisciplined without the talent that they're missing.
Can I do a little bit of in defense of Don Sweeney? And I texted you boys last night because I was starting to get you're seeing the mentions. How is this guy still here? Mm-hmm. Got into my head a little bit. I was like, how is this guy still here? How is a guy who inherited Chara, Bergeron, Rask, Krejci, Marchand, Dougie Hamilton, just like so many really, really good players. The list goes on and on and on. And never win? Like, has that guy made it like 10 years? But I thought, in defense of him right now, I think the Bruins are such a different team when they have Hampus Lindholm. And Hampus Lindholm is on like sarcastic Jake Wallman heart watch in terms of when Hampus Lindholm is out of the Bruins lineup, joke's on you if you're watching that team.
I guess, yeah. I mean, like, look no further than the last 2 years. He's clearly an important part of that team, and it looked a lot different heading into the season, the way that things started versus where they are now. So, like, I can't say that Hampus Lindholm is not a vital piece to this team.
Vital is a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Put him on heart watch.
It's been really disappointing how bad Charlie McAvoy's been.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If you only have 3 players you're confident in selling the jerseys of, they all have to be Sidney Crosby.
Do they take Charlie's jerseys out of the store? That would be awesome, honestly.
Oh, yeah,
If they
you're
were
only
just
allowed
we
to have
sell
3 at a time? Yeah.
and you're on the bottom of the list right now. You're at massive risk of getting demoted.
Thin ice, relegated.
Yeah, yeah. You get
Jersey relegation in the Bruins Pro Shop.
Online
Famously,
only.
if you listen to yesterday's show, they only sell 3 jerseys in their Pro Shop. So right now, it's Pasternak, McAvoy, and Swayman. I would agree that he's in the danger zone, Charlie McAvoy right now, but who's getting promoted?
Zadorov.
It's Zadorov or no? Like I would say that right now the leader in the
Geeky.
clubhouse
Geeky,
is
yeah.
Geeky
Yeah.
or Hampus Lindholm.
I mean, you can't.
It's weird because he doesn't play.
Yeah, you can't like have your status elevated by an absence. I don't think.
Peyton Manning rule.
Yeah,
I guess. But yeah, I mean, if McAvoy's auditioning to be a captain of this team, it is not going well so far. I'll say that.
Geeky's the captain right now. He's spiritual leader.
Dude, he really like is. He's telling the truth. He's has great post game quotes. He's showing up for games. So what I'll say is like last night's game was such a ripe game for overreaction. And it was the first time this season that I've felt like, oh boy, this could really, really get bad this year. Because every other game that they lost this season was competitive and entertaining, and the compete and the effort level was there. They showed up and just shit their pants in front of everybody last night. And like to Morgan Geeky's credit, he's been talking about this team not putting together 60-minute games for a little while at this point and being frustrated with the results. It's just he was the only guy who like had any sort of positive impact on that game last night at all.
I had a weird thought, which is I think the Bruins might be so bad right now that maybe they can't trade Pavel Zacha, because the one thing Pavel Zacha will do, even if he's not always productive, like Pavel Zacha tries. And obviously when a team gets bad, you ship guys out, but I think examples need to be set, and it's weird. I don't think that Pavel Zacha has ever been talked about as like a letter type guy, but effort's always there from him. And man, that room and that, more importantly, that ice is going to suck when you take him off it.
I think I would rather give it to Geeky than Zacha, honestly.
They give what? The
letter.
Like spiritual like letter,
Yeah.
or real letter?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would too. I mean, he's going to be here longer. I think that Zacha, if you don't get rid of him this year, you're going to get rid of him next year. But man, what are you getting for Zacha? Because it can't be like something negligible.
No, but I mean, like a team
Because
like
he's so important to you.
a team like Vancouver is going to want him really bad, and I think that that's been out there. So I don't know what Vancouver really like. What a package would look like from them, but you could probably get something. Speaking of getting something,
Yeah.
Victor Arvidsson,
Could get it.
another bright spot, sort of ish, scored with like what
9 seconds.
9 seconds left in the
9?
game last
Yep.
night. Every Victor Arvidsson goal, I'm just saying, cool. Price is going up for the deadline. That's like they were losing by 5 goals with 9 seconds left in the game. He scored. I found a little bit of happiness in being like, that's just one goal to add to his stat sheet that when they trade him at the deadline, price going up.
So Arvidsson is 10 trillion% getting traded.
1
Zacha is
billion fucking gazillion
Zacha
percent.
is probably getting traded. Middlestat might be too expensive.
for
I mean, you can retain, but he's too expensive for what he gives you. He's making 5.75.
should have traded
You're
him
a
after
team
the
and you
last
need
game when he had
someone-
a 2-game heater.
Yeah, but if you need someone who can play center, but right now may be better suited for the wing, but he's maybe middle 6-ish at best at the deadline, and you're a good team, who's prancing around with $6 million in cap space to add Casey Middlestat? That's another reason why Zacha's so attractive.
Yeah.
Versatile, under $5 million on the cap hit. Canucks have their 2026 first. They've said they're not trading it. No one trade your 2026 firsts.
Do it. Trade it to the Bruins. Do it.
Trade to the Bruins and reacquire JT Miller and just see what happens.
Sure. Chat's saying that Vancouver has some good prospects as well. So maybe that's something that you... I think that right now, if there is another game that looks as bad as this Bruins game, especially like in the very near future, they're going to have a massive bounce back tonight. Like big time frozen frenzy, eyes on the Bruins, see what they look like after last night's game. If this continues to spiral the way that it's spiraling, like Providence got to get calls. Like you got to bring guys up. Guys in Providence are producing right now.
Who? Give me some.
As of right now, they have 5 guys who are producing at over a point per game.
Okay.
And then 2 additional that are a point per game. You got Riley Tufte, Georgi Merkulov, Patrick Brown, Mete Blumel, Fabian Lysell, all over a point per game, and then you got Alex Steves and Matthew Poitras.
Lysell is enormous. Why the heck not?
I would say the same with Blumel.
Yeah.
Like I liked Blumel preseason. Would love to see him at least get a shot. Like get something different in there. And then Poitras, like shit or get off the pot with that kid, I feel like.
I mean, I think sometimes, with all due respect to him, this would happen with a lot of Bruins prospects back in the day where, like, fans, you might not like it, but at some point, like, maybe they're not playing him that much because he's not going to have the impact that you want him to have.
But what they don't do with those guys is they don't sell them when there's, like, perceived value.
I think that the ship has sailed probably a decade ago on if the Bruins are trading one of their prospects. Like, who's the last Bruins prospect they traded that was good? Charlie Lindgren? Ryan Lindgren? Who's the defenseman?
Ryan Lindgren.
Yeah, Ryan Lindgren. And good minute-eating, shot-blocking kind of guy. And that's all I can remember.
Yeah, I guess off the top of my head,
Like
you might
Joe
be right.
Colborne, like all these guys that they gave up in these big trades to get someone didn't end up really being anything. Frank Vetrano, but that was just them trading for a draft pick.
And now he wasn't even really like a.
Yeah.
Was he like a prospect? He got
You know who actually the biggest prospect I think they've traded was?
Ryan Donato?
Ryan Donato. Yeah. And it took a while, and he ended up being a good NHL player. But like these guys aren't they're lottery tickets. They're scratch tickets. One thing that is going right for the Bruins is that their water bottles are not going right. Charlie McAvoy tried to drink water on the bench. Can't even do that right.
It's so funny. It's funnier too because it's yellow Gatorade, I believe. So it just looks like piss.
Piss
It looks like
jersey.
he's just getting pissed on.
Look at that. There's too much B and there's too much piss.
That's what Rapid 7 paid their money for, is so that it could look like their logo was getting pissed on in the worst Bruins game of the season. Hell yeah,
You
brother.
noticed that? You noticed the ad patch though.
That's true.
That's why they do
No
it.
bad publicity.
No bad publicity.
Piss on me, baby.
I
All
just
right,
want to say real quick,
Yeah.
I'm not enjoying this. I thought I would enjoy the Bruins sucking a little bit more. They suck too bad, and now they're going to end up with. I was going to say Matthew Schaefer, geez.
Gavin McKenna.
Gavin McKenna, Jesus, yeah. And I'm going to hate that. So I would rather the Bruins not suck this bad.
I will take. I will take Keaton Verhoff.
Yeah.
I will take Keaton
I don't
Verhoff.
want you to have him either.
What?
I don't want y'all to have him either. Like I don't like you are sucking. I wanted the Boston Bruins
McKenna or Verhoff? I'll
to
take
finish
it.
5 points out of the playoffs.
So
Ideal
Here's what
situation.
happens though. Like if Verhoff ends up with the Bruins, we're looking at a Noah Dobson situation. Like, do the Bruins end up trading Charlie McAvoy?
Oh, interesting. No, don't fucking do that.
Just saying.
Trade him to the Rangers.
Try to get good. Like I was thinking last night, I was like, were they trying to, with their offseason, are they trying to prepare to be what the Blackhawks are? And they want at least some veteran guys to already be there when their high picks come in. So instead of Connor Bedard showing up to just a desolate landscape,
Yeah.
he comes there and it's like, oh, hey, Tanner Jeannot, and like, hey, like some of these guys. And
So like a year into what the Blackhawks tried to do with like Bertuzzi and
yes,
Alec
exactly.
Martinez. Yeah.
And that shows how broken my brain is, that I'm like, I'm doing these mental gymnastics to be like, but maybe there was a plan when they did all this, because things look bleak right now. Things look very bleak for the Bruins. As we said, they're probably going to sell people. As Morgan Geeky said Friday, they're probably going to sell people. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to What Chaos here on YouTube. You will get everything. Daily episodes, player interviews, and so much more. It's all here on the What Chaos YouTube. Hit subscribe. We bring you on to speculate about what Rick Tocchet might think. What does he think of his new guy, Trevor Zegras?
This is going to be a hard place for Trevor Zegras to succeed.
From inside the coach's room, our great, wonderful, dear, cute, handsome friend, Steve Peters. Hi, Petey. How are ya?
I'm going to come right with the grumpy because I love the guest you get. First of all, I know nothing about the draft, but enough of the Erik Karlsson love. But buddy stinks.
I knew it. I knew it.
Who the hell wants Erik Karlsson on his team if you want to win anything? Like, stinks. I don't care about his numbers, his metrics, but I don't want him on my team ever. Backing
This
up
is the
from the red line
best.
in, you might as well literally just watch him play. He's horrendous. Of course they want to trade him. Of course they do. Okay, sorry. Cut
This
that
is
out.
the best because you're
I
not
literally
like
just
you're
can't
not
stand
mean to anyone except for
No.
Erik Karlsson.
He is, because you know what? It's you talk about that player being in the Norris conversation. It just drives me absolutely insane. There isn't a coach in the National Hockey League that is putting Erik Karlsson on the ice when the game matters. He is not. And I'm even to the point of where I don't think the offensive upside is there enough to help him be on the ice when you're behind. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe I see a different game. Okay.
That transition is going to be the social clip from today. Going from us talking about Erik Karlsson to bring you in being like, fuck Erik Karlsson.
I'm so sorry, guys. I didn't want to start off like that. I get fired up about some things.
No, I
Erik
mean,
Karlsson's
one of the great talents, and definitely there was a time where it was, if you don't think Erik Karlsson's the best defenseman in the NHL, it says this about you.
Right.
And there were a lot of us, dozens, who were like, well, then I guess it says this about me because I don't think he's the best defenseman in the NHL. I was saying earlier, I think that Chara is the best defenseman of that time.
Yeah.
And Lidstrom was at the end there, but Chara was like the most dominant defenseman and at times even player of that time.
And I think when you're looking at it for a dominant player, is a player at both ends that can be on the ice in the last minute of play. When you're ahead or you're behind, that's a dominant player. That's a guy that you go, okay, I'm noticing we're down by a goal. He's on the ice, and he's also on the ice when we're ahead by a goal. That's a good player. That's a guy we need to have in our lineup. And Erik Karlsson's not that guy.
So, okay, what do you think of the dominance that Trevor Zegras can have in Philadelphia? We bring you on to speculate about what Rick Tocchet might think. What does he think of his new guy, Trevor Zegras?
This is going to be a hard place for Trevor Zegras to succeed. I am of the camp that I don't like Trevor Zegras. We talk about Erik Karlsson. Trevor Zegras is another guy. He can stick handle on tires and he can hit targets out of a net. Great. He's another one of those US NDP kids that, oh wow, did you see him stick handle? Did you see the Michigan? Who cares? Like I don't mind if you're going to score on the Michigan. Great. He's not a good teammate. Guys don't like him, and I don't mean guys don't like him.
I push back on that. Everybody that we've talked to about Trevor Zegras, like. I get it, and like that smoke is out there, but we've tried to like literally dig into
uncover
this.
That he is selfish. He doesn't move the puck. He doesn't play two ways. He doesn't play in the defensive zone. To think he's going to be a center in the National Hockey League in Philadelphia, you're out of here. The Philadelphia Flyers fans are going to run him out 20 games in unless he changes the way he plays. Like he is not a guy that's going to get into the battle. He's not going to battle on the wall. He's going to hog the puck. He's not going to make the plays that are there and available. He's going to think he's the guy that has to have all the puck all the time. By the way, they've got that guy. That's Matvei Michkov. So they've already got the guy that thinks he should have the puck all the time. And now you're going to pair them together, and you're going to have him play for Rick Tocchet. There's some concern here, and I know there's a lot of things people saying that they didn't get enough out of Anaheim. Anaheim's been trying to get rid of Trevor Zegras for a very long time. A very long time. They don't want him as part of their future. They don't want him as part of their core. This is the best offer they had. So I don't know how they got fleeced in this deal.
What do you think about Benoit Pouliot?
I have no thoughts on Benoit.
I'm just trying to think of players that you would absolutely hate. Players who just like do one
don't
thing.
Hate him. I don't hate Benoit Pouliot, and I shouldn't say this about Trevor Zegras. Here's the one thing about Trevor Zegras right now. He's got an opportunity to mature. And he's got an opportunity. He's 24 years old. He's got an opportunity now to go, okay, what? I took all this heat in Anaheim that I was a selfish player and I might be a bad guy. And now I'm going to a new market and I've got an opportunity to reset. I've got an opportunity to create a new Trevor Zegras. His skill level is elite. He is a high-end, talented hockey player. If he can focus that into a work ethic that he can excel in those areas, Trevor Zegras can be a very, very, very good hockey player in this league. The concern is, at 24, is he ready to mature and take that next step? I think for Philadelphia and Danny Briere, they were willing to trade Ryan Poehling and a couple of picks to see if that can be the case, because the upside is absolutely there. This is a team that really needs a number one center. It's a team that's floundering through the middle of the ice. Trevor Zegras can start to secure that area for the Philadelphia Flyers in the next few years. And it doesn't have to be this year, but he is going to have to change. And Rick Tocchet, as opposed to John Tortorella, and I like John Tortorella a lot, but I just think he's got a different way of approaching those players than Rick Tocchet. So if he is going to succeed and find a path out of this, Rick Tocchet honestly might be the right guy at the right time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask is like, are you leaving room for that where like it's worth taking the gamble because Rick Tocchet might be able to unlock something in Trevor Zegras? And at this point in Trevor Zegras' career, like I think that, and I hope that he's willing to do what it takes and kind of shift and mold his game into something different that allows him to elevate to the next level.
And that's the real thing, Pete. Like, because with Rick Tocchet wants players that can compete. And you look at the players that he's had success with. Connor Garland is a guy in Vancouver that got all kinds of ice time because he worked hard. And you knew when you put him over the boards, he worked. That's what Rick Tocchet wants. He wants guys to be skilled and have the ability to score. Absolutely. But if you compete and you work incredibly hard, you're going to have an opportunity to succeed under Rick Tocchet. And he's going to give you that opportunity. And when Rick Tocchet sets a benchmark for a player, and he did this in Arizona, he came from the school of thought of the Pittsburgh Penguins. So if you're going to be a forward, every forward is compared to Sidney Crosby. And I don't mean at a skill level, because that's not fair. I mean as a compete level, as the way you present yourself on and off the ice and continually trying to be better. If you're not that, then you're not doing it right. And he did the same with Chris Letang. And the bar is set so high, but he also allows you to get to that bar. And I do think with Zegras, I think there's going to be one-on-one. And I'm envisioning this with Rick Tocchet. It's day one. It's you're in the office, you're sitting around across from Rick Tocchet, and he's intimidating. And Greg Cronin in Anaheim might not be the friendliest guy in the National Hockey League, but he doesn't have the cachet that Rick Tocchet has. He doesn't. You sit across from Greg Cronin, and you're like, dude, you're in the American League. Like you're not telling me, Trevor Zegras, what to do. Rick Tocchet can tell you what to do, and he can tell you how it's going to be. And I think he's going to be a little bit of a shake Zegras' world, but he's going to give him the opportunity, the clean slate. This is how you need to play. And it's just about effort. The skill stuff will take care of itself. And the player to compare this to is Clayton Keller. And Clayton Keller, when Rick Tocchet came in, it was a perimeter player, really high skilled guy, the American NDP path, the guy that can do all those great moves, but he couldn't get inside the top of the circle. Very perimeter player, couldn't play a 200-foot game. And I think under Rick Tocchet, you started to see Clayton Keller evolve. A little bit grittier, a little chip on his shoulder, the ability to get to the inside, the ability to back check, play defensively. And that's the hope the Philadelphia Flyers fans need to have for Trevor Zegras, that he now starts to grow up. And he's 24 and he goes, okay, if I want to be around this league, I have the skills, I need to do this. And really, Rick Tocchet can be Trevor Zegras' best friend. He can be, but he's just going to have to work to get there.
Ducks obviously making cap space, and we know they're going to be one of the teams in on Mitch Marner. Where do you think is the best fit for Mitch Marner?
This one's hard. For the best hockey fit?
Yeah, like
money
in their
cap?
system with their guys.
Vegas. It's Vegas. It's the Vegas Golden Knights, and I'll tell you why. You look at Mitch Marner, and the highest scoring player in the National Hockey League over the last 4 seasons is Austin Matthews. It's not Draisaitl or McDavid, it's Austin Matthews. And so when you look at Mitch Marner's numbers, they're heavily skewed to the best goal scorer in the National Hockey League. So you have to take that into account when you're starting to look at, wow, look at the numbers. Marner's playing. He's playing with the best player, the scoring player in the league. So for him to duplicate that and for him to be an effective player inside his system, you need a centerman that can score, and a true number one center. And you look at the teams that are starting to court Mitch Marner, it's Vegas. It's Jack Eichel, and take Jack Eichel to another step. And Jack Eichel's another guy that plays 200 feet. Mitch Marner plays 200 feet. Mitch Marner can kill penalties. I think he's a compliment to a player that is desperately needed in Vegas to continue to push that team forward. But they also have the grit that I don't particularly like Marner's grit. And I know that's a knock because it's real, and his ability to win puck battles along the wall. And and you want him out there in game 7 of the playoffs, digging the corners. But Vegas has guys that can play that role. So I think for him, hockey-wise, it's Vegas, but you talked about him. The problem is, where are you going to come up with the money? And you could talk about Hertl. Man, dude's got Hertl and Stone, no moves. Like, what are you going to do? Like, if you can't free up that cap space. So there is a concern. I think it's the best fit. I just don't know if you can get a deal done to get him signed for the money he's going to look for.
If you were running a team, what's the highest number you would go for Mitch Marner?
And this is another part. Do you make him the highest paid wing in the National Hockey League right now?
Yeah.
Is he Mikko Rantanen money?
No, but Mikko Rantanen famously earmuffs chat, absolute crybaby Panthers fans. Rantanen signed in a no income tax state, and he gave them a hometown discount right away because that was where he wanted to be. Mitch Marner is a UFA baby. He's getting where he wants to go plus the money.
Yeah, he's cashing in, and there's no question. But I wonder with Mitch Marner, and I think you're going to see this in this free agency, is you're going to see some 3 and 4 year deals. I do think you're going to see some bridge deals on guys that may not be the home run of exactly where they want to be. And Marner, we're going to talk about some other players, and I think that may be the case. Marner's going to get paid. Dude's getting paid. He is the guy. Like, every team is falling over themselves to get Mitch Marner. And I hate to say it, I'm not convinced that's the path. Because when you look at Mitch Marner and you look at Mitch Marner's number, again, great regular season. He's 0.3 goals per game in the regular season in his career. He's 0.19 in the playoffs. The last 4 years, he's 0.39 goals in the playoffs. He's 0.2 in the playoffs. If I have to win Game 7 tomorrow, do I want Brad Marchand in my lineup or do I want Mitch Marner in my lineup? I think I've got an answer. You've seen the playoffs. Does Mitch Marner's style of play win you playoff games? Without a player that is there to help put up the numbers. Mitch Marner can't do it by himself. If you're putting him on a team that they don't have the core to really put up offensive numbers, Mitch Marner can't do it by himself. He is not that kind of player. He's not getting into the big, great playmaker. Phenomenal. One of the best in the league. But beyond that, you got to win Game 7. I don't know if Mitch Marner is going to move the needle. And I'm concerned somebody's going to overpay him. And you're going to be sitting with a team that's at the finishing 7th, 8th, or 9th going, gosh, I thought Mitch Marner was going to get us to the Stanley Cup. And doesn't get us.
Here's the problem with Mitch Marner is that, like, we had the discussion about Trevor Zegras and him needing to mold his game because he's just like, it's not going to sustain and he's not going to be a star in this league if he doesn't mold his game. Mitch Marner is already a star in this league. He's going to cash in like a star in this league. He's going to get his money. He's going to be paid for however long he wants to be paid. There's not going to be a ton of motivation for him to change his game. And if he's getting paid like that, there's also like you're as a team, you're putting yourself in a more difficult position to get the complementary pieces that do fill in those holes around Mitch Marner, which is why I have a problem paying him what he would be asking for.
And that's 100% the concern, and that's where I get a little apprehensive about the big prize at free agency, because you go back to a year ago, who won free agency in 2024 by a landslide, not even close, was the Nashville Predators with Stamkos, Marchessault, Brady Shea. How did that work out? Your beloved Boston Bruins, Zadorov and Lindholm. How'd that work out? You know what Florida got last year? Nosek, Greer, Boquist, and Schmidt. Did that help them get a Stanley Cup? I think it did. I think the lure of free agency is a concern for teams. I think the big prize right now is Mitch Marner and Brad Marchand on July 1st. And it might put your team in a difficult position to move forward, not just this season, into the future. Hey, Mitch Marner's a great player. I'm not saying he's not a great player. The best fit for him was in Toronto, and clearly that didn't work. So now what's the next best place for Mitch Marner to end up? I do think it's Vegas, but beyond that, there are other teams that I think are in. You hear LA all the time. Yes, if you put him right now with Byfield and you put Kempe on the wing with Byfield, Kempe, and Marner, they're going to put up numbers. And I think that might be another place where I think he might fit. Dallas, I don't see it. I don't see the cap space. Carolina, I'm tired of hearing. Can I rant? Carolina, if you want to go to Carolina, you play one way, because Carolina plays one way. Mitch Marner doesn't play Carolina Hurricane hockey. He doesn't. That is exhausting hockey to play. It's not a perimeter player sitting around the outside top of the circles. It's not. He can't play that hockey 82 games a year. He's not going to be a good fit, even though they need a scoring winger. It's not Mitch Marner. He can't go to Carolina. The other ones for me, the two dark horses for Mitch Marner, because he wants to get paid, are Anaheim. Anaheim, to me, is a team that's getting better. And they're not going to win. If winning a cup and shoving it down Toronto's throat is his mission, it can't be in Anaheim. But it can also just disappear and just go play and just get paid. And he's going to have two really good young centers to play with. He's got a new coach in Q. There's some belief. The owner believes in what they're doing. They spend money, and he can just hang out at the beach and get his paycheck. Or Columbus. Why are everybody forgetting Columbus? I like Columbus. Put him with Fantilli. I like that matchup. Fantilli and Marner.
I think Fantilli would be over the moon to have Mitch Marner. Yeah,
It'll never happen. It'll never happen.
It could. I just jotted down some teams while you were talking, and Hurricanes, I put a little not a fit next to it. I think your point is well taken, but Blackhawks, Kings we already talked about.
Kings are, yes.
Red Wings. Like, there are teams with so much cap space that also have the, like, hey, Don't worry if you're not a big game player in the playoffs. We don't need you to win us playoff games. We need you to get us to the playoffs. And then once you get there, yeah, everyone's going to be mad that you didn't do anything in the playoffs, but we're not expected to go anywhere anyway. Like, if you're the Blackhawks and Mitch Marner wants a short-term deal, if he wants 2 years or 3 years times $14 million, fucking fine.
But my counterpoint to that would be
No
like, if you're the
chance.
Blackhawks and you're trying to
Why?
establish a culture and
Yeah.
you are bringing in a guy like Mitch Marner, especially for like 3 years, what is your 3-year goal there? Like, your culture is
13th?
going to be set
Like a
to what
12th?
you don't want it to be, and you're going to get to the playoffs, and it's going to take you out of position to get better players for the future. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Oh no, I think the Blackhawks need. I agree with part of that, but I think the Blackhawks are kind of getting into Sabres territory, where just because of how bad it's been the last couple of years, they need to get off the accumulating and building thing. Like, they need to, in the middle of the season, care about whether they win a game. They
DJ.
need to, on a January 10th game, be like, we got a shot in this one tonight, because their young guys haven't felt that for a freaking
that part's
second.
fair. That part's fair.
Do you really think the Chicago Blackhawks are a Mitch Marner away from the playoffs? You're out of your mind.
No,
They're-
not the playoffs. Like, they need to feel like they are competing in mid-season, regular season games.
2 years from now, I say yes. Mitch Marner all over Chicago. Chicago is so far away. Chicago is so far. Detroit, maybe. I could see that. I could see Detroit. That's a team that's had that playoff push and the Eisner plan. I think Chicago is a team that right now, their biggest free agent signing was getting Donato back. I just don't think Chicago is going to do anything. Like, they're just not ready. They're not ready to get their young players need to evolve another year or two. They're not ready for Mitch Marner. Now, Utah, they're going to make a swing. And I don't think Mitch Marner is a Utah player. I don't think he fits in with their small centers. I think they got enough small players, but Utah's going to try. Like, Utah's bringing their checkbook to every free agent. They are. And their owner has come out and said, we're going to make a swing for it. And I think I would go back to Cam. Keep an eye on pick number 4. I don't think Utah makes it, which has nothing to do with conversation, but I don't think they make it.
Little Birdie told us that there's going to be Marchand to Utah stuff that's going to be serious. And since then, Elliot Friedman has also noted that Utah's going to be there for Brad Marchand. I know that right now, Brad Marchand is having so much fun that it's tough to see him leaving. But I also know that before all this happened, he wanted top dollar. Do you see a fit with Marchand in Utah? Because our dear friend and colleague, Craig Robinson being a
colleague would be awesome.
Yeah, a little too much cocaine there. But Craig Morgan has said he doesn't really see it. Do you?
Yes. And I'll tell you what, I think Brad Marchand right now, it's the elbow room hangover. Of course he wants to stay in Florida. Like, it's a winning team. He fits in. He plays their style of hockey. He loves it. He's getting the notoriety and the publicity, and all of those things are true. But if he's going to stay in Florida, he's going to have to take a haircut, and it's going to be a tough place for him to make the big money that he wants to make right now in his career. And I think if he wants to stay in Florida, and he can, Florida would love to have him stay. I think Bennett's number 1 there, and then I think he's second, then Ekblad third. But the opportunity will be for him to stay in Florida. Will be there. It just won't be at the money that I think he's looking for. I think the money is going to come from a couple places. I think Toronto's got the money. Toronto wants him. They think he's a playoff player. They think they can get him over the hump. Now, thinking of Brad Marchand in a Toronto Maple Leaf jersey,
I will shoot myself.
Cringe. Yeah, it makes people cringe. Like, even me, and I'm not a fandom of anywhere, but that to me just doesn't make sense. I don't know how it fits in the room in the city. But then bring in Utah. There's 2 teams that I think are the dark horse. Can he go back to Boston? Is that relationship so frayed that he can't go back to Boston, a city that loves him? Can he get over with management and make the money that he wants to make? Because they would love to have him back. Utah can't get Marner. I don't think Marner's got any interest there. I think Marner's is more in the win. I got to win now. Marchand's won. He's got the Cups. Dude's fine. And with Utah, you are going to make the best contract available out there. I think they're going to back up the Brinks truck for Marchand. I really do. I think the offer is going to be there.
Like,
no, I think it's
years?
short term. I think it's 3-4. I think it's 3-4, and we're going to pay you, and we're going to pay you heavy. And it's just funny because I'm going to be a little. I just said Chicago can do that, and they're not going to make the playoffs. Does Brad Marchand make Utah a better team? The answer is yes. In and of itself, it doesn't make them a playoff team. I think they were closer to the playoffs, but I don't think that's all Utah's going to do. I don't think they're making the 4th pick. I think they're going to get a player. They have picks. They've got prospects. They've gone that route. They got 3 or 4 second round picks next year. Like, they've got their picks. I think they turn the 4th. They're playing house money. You got a draft pick. You were way back in the draft. Now you're picking fourth. I think they'll turn that into a player, and I think they're going to make an effort to fulfill what Ryan Smith wants. He wants to make a splash in free agency. He wants to make a splash in Utah. He wants to show that he's trying to win, and I think he's going to go after Brad Marchand. Now, what is his appetite to go to a market that's really not proven yet? I mean, they had a great first year, and everybody is excited, but you're not a proven market yet. Seattle was like that the first year too, and now Seattle maybe has cooled off a bit. What is Utah going to be in the future? I don't know. But I do know Ryan Smith is going to give every tool available to his staff to make that a successful team and a successful franchise. So I do think they are going to make a legitimate big money offer to Brad Marchand.
I vow if Utah Mammoth signs Brad Marchand, we will do training camp with the Utah Mammoth.
Oh my God.
That is our September project.
They also go to Park City. So big, yeah, go to Park City for a few days. I like that.
He'll probably want to take us hunting. And I would not fall for that.
I will 100% go with you.
I could see.
I would go hunting.
Not with him.
Why?
Ultimate prankster.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
with weapons.
What are you thinking? Dick Cheney kind of prank?
I would say trick us into thinking Dick Cheney is happening. Whether it's like like an airsoft gun or something. Yeah, not buying that.
I'd do it.
We'll hang in the hotel or the Airbnb. Petey, thank you so much for talking to us. These are always the best hangs, and quite frankly, I loved how angry you were today.
Yeah,
I apologize for that. I think the key is not to listen to your show for the first half hour, because I just sit here wanting to jump in and be angry, and then by the time I get it, it's got all this pent up. Because I'm usually not like that. I'm just ask to pause. I'm just Mr.
Dude. The worst thing is having the contact info of every radio or podcaster that I listen, radio host or podcaster I listen to. Because I've sent, and people have done this to me, where people will text me about something I said on the show, and
I love it.
Like,
and
you do?
I love it when people like are listening and asking and have questions or like want to talk about something that's said on the show. But when it comes to doing that to somebody else, I have the worst like chills trying to do that.
Yeah, it's not always the best behavior, and I do it, and I get it, and I'm not like mad if somebody texts me about something that I said on the show, but I don't know. There's like, if I'm doing it to somebody else, I'm like, you already have people to talk to about this stuff, and you're getting paid to do it. But anyway,
I love you guys.
Chat loves Angry Petey, so you don't have to feel bad about bringing that.
I love you guys, and again, I say it every time. I appreciate you giving me a voice, because I love talking hockey, and I know nothing about the draft, but I can't wait to watch and be glued to my TV to what happens on Friday and Saturday. So thanks for giving me a voice.
Everybody, make sure you are subscribed to Inside the Coaches Room with Petey. He's got amazing videos out there now. He went to that coaches summit, talked to a bunch of coaches, and is just churning it out. You're the best, Petey.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
We all silly like the mayor.
From one unbelievable blue line in Carolina to just a blue line in LA, what did you make of Ken Holland's day yesterday?
No, it's an unbelievable blue line. 100%. It is unbelievable, just in all the wrong ways.
Let's bring in from the Athletic and Too Many Men podcast. It is the great Shayna Goldman, who, quite frankly, I hear on the sheet all the time. And now I'm just like, let's steal Jeff Merrick's guests. Hello, Shayna.
Hello. Yeah, I've never heard of Whoop. I felt like I learned a lot listening to those ad reads.
This is not good. Shayna famously is a woman, and if she's not heard of a Whoop, who I think this is targeted for, I don't know. I could be wrong. We'll talk about sewing later, because Shayna is also a prolific sewer. Mm-hmm. Shayna, what did you make of the Carolina Hurricanes day one of free agency? Because the Stankoven contract is confusingly amazing to us, and we're just buying all the Keandre Miller stock.
Yeah, I really liked their entire day. It's funny, I was doing the winners and losers column, and I'm waiting for something else to come, whether it was the Miller deal, whether it was the Ilers trade, because I really wanted to put them in the winners, but their deal was incomplete by the time I wrote, so they fell out of it. But no, I have them completely and totally as a winner. The Stankoven contract's great because I think we all know he has that second caliber ability, which is what they need this year, right? Whether he plays on the wing, whether he plays at center. I think it's a big bet, but it's the bet that you take on someone when you know he has a really strong skill set and also a skill set that is legitimately perfect for the Carolina Hurricanes, right? Like if you want to just like draw up the ideal Hurricane, you're either coming up with Stankoven or you're coming up with Jarvis. So love that contract. The Miller one is super fun though, because I think that one, it has a lot more intrigue. It has a little bit more, like mystery of whether he can become the player. I think we all want to see him become because he has all the raw tools, all the skill, but it just hasn't come together consistently enough. But the Canes, that's their magic trick, right? Like they take everybody and turn them into a star within the system. So I feel like he just is built for that versus whatever the hell the Rangers have been trotting out the last couple of years.
Yes. Do you have like more faith in Keandre Miller's next level because he's going to be in Carolina? Because that's where we landed. We were like, oh my God, like, of course he's going to be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you could look at it two ways too from the Rangers perspective. It's, does he have the potential to become that defenseman and does he have it there? And I think you could say definitely not, right? Like I know they have a new coaching staff coming in, but do you have the faith in the team to turn them into that? And I know people might be upset like they're giving up on someone early and then giving them to a division rival. But at the end of the day, the Rangers aren't going to be able to do what I think the Canes are going to be able to do with him, right? I think that there's this perfect slot for him on the left side of the lineup. And with the Canes, he doesn't have to be the number one guy on the left like he's had to be for the Rangers the last year, number two behind Ryan Lindgren. You're the number two guy behind Jacob Slavin, who I'm sure you're going to learn from a little bit. And you have a strong partner in someone like Chatfield. Like it just feels too perfect of a fit. And you could see ways that he's going to be really good in that system, right? Because he has the foot speed. He has a really long skating stride. He has a disruptive reach. He can break up plays. He can just play a really pesky game. And also he can make that first pass out of the zone. So I think all of that makes a lot of sense for the Canes. It feels like it's what they need because I have less of an issue with the system in Carolina. And I know that came under fire a lot after they lost to the Panthers. I think the system isn't as successful there because they didn't have strong enough pieces within it, right? They have 2 or 3 cornerstone players. They build the rest around. The Panthers have like 8. So I think if you add someone like Miller, it shows they view him as that. And I think that's going to help them in the long run.
Are you confused or as confused as I am by the sentiment from whether it's the Rangers or the Sabres talking about Bowen Byram, where the Rangers are like, there was a threat of the offer sheet with Keandre Miller, so we had to trade him. The Sabres are like, don't even fucking think about offer sheeting Bowen Byram because we'll match. We're seeing how scared shitless teams are of trading unprotected 2026 first round picks. If I'm the Sabres and I know they don't need any more draft picks, but like, fuck, if someone's going to potentially give me the Gavin McKenna pick, I'm okay with that. So does the fear of offer sheets this year, I get it in other years, but like, does the fear of offer sheets this year confuse you?
Yeah, it feels more real this year. And I think we're seeing some of those RFA contracts get dealt with early. So GMs can avoid that. I think with Bouchard and Nyes, those are two that if you're the Oilers or the Leafs, you're like, please do not offer sheet these guys because we need to control the cost. If you're the Sabres, don't bother. We're going to match it because they don't want draft picks back for him, right? I think because they went for the right-handed D in the Paterka trade, they want a legit top 6 forward. So getting all those draft picks, it's just going to keep them where they are. It's not going to help them. And in theory, you could take the picks you'd get back and try to flip them into something. But I mean, we know the Sabres track record. So I like that they're trying to make it like, okay, don't bother. Don't even waste your time here. The Rangers, on the other hand, though, the threat of offer sheets, they should have liked, right? Because if someone was offering Miller a contract like that, which they were never going to give him, they would get picks in return, which is what they got here. So I think it's funny how like general managers are trying to, stick to their guns and really puff their chest out and be like, yeah, don't do it. We'll handle it. Like, okay, let's see you try.
And then the Hurricanes couldn't protect the pick like they did in this trade. They made it top 10 protected. If they just go and they sign Keandre Miller to $7.5 million, that's a first, a second, and it's a third. So it's less of a package, but I would much rather, and I know the Hurricanes are going to make the playoffs, but like I said, you're seeing how scared teams are of giving up unprotected firsts. If a team is going to offer sheet my guy and give me an unprotected first that we've seen in other leagues, and we saw this year with the first overall pick, it's not the 5th, 6th, 7th best odds that always win the lottery or the best odds. Sometimes it is like the 9th or 10th. So if a team, depending on the situation, I'm not afraid of an offer sheet if I'm one of these teams.
From one unbelievable blue line in Carolina to just a blue line in LA, what did you make of Ken Holland's day yesterday?
No, it's an unbelievable blue line. 100%. It is unbelievable, just in all the wrong ways. Yeah, welcome back, Ken Holland. I mean, shit. The Kings needed to do something. They needed anything, right? They need a change. Every year, it's the same problem, season after season. They're losing to the Oilers. How they think this is the solution, I don't understand. It's so Ken Holland, it hurts. And I don't understand how if you hired him in LA, you didn't see this one coming, right? Because here are guys that he has worked with before in Edmonton and Perry and Ceci, but also here's a blue line that we saw what he put together in Edmonton, right? So it's all wrong because I get it. You have Mikey Anderson and Drew Doughty that you could say, well, they could shoulder top minutes. We don't need Cody Ceci and Brian Dumoulin to do that. And maybe if they're a third pair, they'll be fine. Maybe, right? The Kings have the structure to insulate them, maybe, but also then you can just poke holes in all of that because you're not paying these guys and signing them to, 3-4 year deals here to have them play on the third pair. The other part of it is a team has their structure systematically, but at the end of the day, don't you think the pieces within that structure kind of matter if they're going to be able to like maintain that year after year? Now you're factoring in Ceci, Dumoulin, and you already have Joel Edmondson. You're going, yeah, we can maintain that structure. Like I have a million question marks on why they thought let's get older and slower when we keep losing to the Oilers, right? And also, let's go with guys that look completely overwhelmed by their workloads. Ceci, I know the numbers are worse than they should be because of the minutes he plays, and he did that in Edmonton, and it burned them in the playoffs. You knew that would happen, and it happened in Dallas. He played way more than he should have. At what point do you think, yes, these are the guys that we want to trot out against? If not McDavid, Draisaitl in the playoffs last year, that's going to get us further.
The observation we made yesterday was that there is conversation, maybe incorrect, that Connor McDavid is looking at what the Oilers have and says, this is not good enough for me, Connor McDavid. Another team that does not have Connor McDavid is saying, let's take that roster, which is crazy. And we love Cody Ceci. We love Corey Perry. The note I will make for the Kings is a big critique I have had of them is my favorite stat is guys. How many guys do you have on your team? The Kings don't have a lot of guys. The Kings don't have a lot of like really good players. And we saw it was to their detriment where they were afraid to play guys, where they were like, I mean, it forced Jordan Spence to be like, yo, get me out of here. Why aren't you playing me? So they at least have more guys now. But as you said, they're older, they're slower. They'll like, I don't know how much better they are than they were. And that's a lot of movement to not get better.
Yeah, and Ceci, we love Ceci as a person. We think that Ceci can often be unfairly maligned in the roles that he's placed in and can be a very, very useful player. But $8.5 million committed to Brian Dumoulin and Cody Ceci in the span of like 30 seconds yesterday was so hard to wrap my head around. And I agree with the assessment that you just gave, which is like they did a lot, but how much better did they get on the whole? Like, what do you think, Shayna? How much better are they today than they were yesterday?
They're not. I would have just overpaid Gavrikov if I'm the Kings because he's that top 4 guy. And I think a difference too between him and someone like Ceci is we kind of try to project how are guys going to age into their 30s, right? You hit 30, it's that scary number, and then you just go south from there. And everybody talks about it when you like hear about contracts and free agents. And it's true. But like the miles Cody Ceci has at this point, and that you already see them kind of have that wear and tear on him versus Gavrikov, you're like, so you got 2 guys who are very one-dimensional instead of just having the one really good shutdown guy that would help you take some of the workload off of Drew Doughty's shoulders. It just is all odd to me. I get it. They didn't feel like they could trust Spence in those minutes, but I would rather be taking a gamble on him and Clark and seeing what you can do to, pick up the pace a little bit, maintain the defensive structure you have, but sprinkle in more offense. I think that was the key to their offseason. So I just I have a lot of problems with this, and now you're taking up more cap space when you should have been using the flexibility you had to, I don't know, maybe go after one more really good puck moving forward. I feel like that's what they need. I like having Kuzmenko there. I think he was pretty excellent post deadline.
Awesome.
I think that they know how to maximize his skills better than most teams do because they have all of that two-way strength. But you need more of that. You need more scoring pop. That's what would have made them better. Give me more scoring pop, even if it means you're a little bit riskier back in your own zone. And now you're one-dimensional and risky in your own zone. So I cannot say they got better at all.
I'm worried about Brant Clark, a guy who they've been like extending themselves to really shelter and protect and put him in the right situations. And now, like, you're one Drew Doughty bone injury away from him being your number one defenseman. And oh boy, I'm worried about him. He's a special player, but he could be in for a rough sledding this year.
Who do you think poses the biggest threat to the Panthers right now? Because we can pretend that the Panthers aren't favorites to do it again. And at some point, one of these years, maybe it's this year, maybe it's next year, I made the comparison to Glastonbury where every 4 years or whatever, they don't hold the festival because the grounds just need a rest. It's one of these years, one of the next couple of years, the Florida Panthers will lose in one of the first couple of rounds and they'll get their rest and then they'll go back to winning Stanley Cups. But right now, who do you think, after the moves of the last couple of days, poses the best threat? Like, has Vegas gotten there? Do you think Dallas is in the mix? The Oilers swap out Arvidsson for Mangiapane? Who would you say?
I'm going to go with Vegas. Although, because Corey Perry signed in LA, part of me is like, all right, they're going to the Cup Finals, so Vegas, you're actually shit out of luck. Who knew? But no, I will go with Vegas there because I really like what they did. I know they play games with the cap and everything with Pietrangelo, and they still have to find a way to replace him. It helps that you have Shea Theodore because, like, the whole threat of Vegas the last few years is like, look, 2 shutdown centers who can go up against 2 really good lines, and look, 2 shutdown D pairs if you need it in between Theodore and Pietrangelo. Like, it's a really good thing to have. So the goaltending was shaky last year. So if the defense isn't as good, I'm a little bit more worried there with Hill. It depends who they get as a backup. But at the end of the day, their biggest need was replenishing what they've stripped away on the wings, right? They've done so much they can build up that center depth and that defensive depth. I think Haig, moving him was the right call. I think his game really stepped back in a third pair role. I think we know he's better than what he was last year, but it wasn't very good. And if you're going to lose a center and you didn't lose Carlson or Hurdle, or obviously Eichel, you did something right. But now you have Mitch Marner, who, I mean, that poor guy. I feel so bad for him the way everyone talks about him. I think it's the perfect fit for him stylistically. Whether he plays with Hurdle or Eichel, I think he's going to be sick. But I think also the different vibes and different market of it all is huge because just getting out of Toronto, I feel like he should have the weight of the world off his shoulder. So I really hope he can just cook in the postseason and put that narrative behind him. And I feel like playing with someone like Eichel is kind of good for that, right? Because we heard so many things about Jack Eichel. Oh, he's going to be terrible in the playoffs and this and that when he left Buffalo. And oh, look, he probably should have won the Conn Smythe the year that they won. So I feel like that'll hopefully trickle over to Marner.
Do you see, based off of what has happened this offseason or just like any of your projections, like who are your drop in and out like playoff teams heading into the next year?
Oh, I like that question a lot. Hold on. I'm pulling up the standings so I can perfectly look at this because my brain is totally melted after the last day.
I hear you. I mean, I'm exhausted and my brain has, and the Bruins are not helping. The Bruins are just absolutely destroying the 3 brain cells I have left. So
it's fair.
Yeah.
Drop in or out. It's tough because I kind of feel like the best teams really made it. I'm going to really go out there. I'm going to say LA is going to be my drop out team because I think St. Louis, I don't love what they did, but I think a healthy Holloway makes them so much better than they were last spring through half of that run when he got hurt. So I feel like they could do it again and really build off of that. So if someone has to slip out in the West, I'm just going to say the Kings. They're going to do something wrong. I feel like Darcy Kemper had such a good year, and I don't think he got enough credit for it because everyone will say, oh, it was the team in front of him. But now I think he's going to be so exposed that everyone's going to say, well, Darcy Kemper is the problem, when it's like, no, they just can't convert on their chances and they didn't do anything to fix it. Now their defense is shit on top of it. So I'm sorry, LA, you're out in my book.
What do you think about Vancouver? Because Vancouver kind of kept a couple pieces with Demko and Besser, which kind of shocked everybody yesterday that they returned Besser. So they're not going to look extremely different, but when I look at Vancouver last year, almost everything that could have gone wrong went wrong for them, and it was just an absolute mess. So if things stabilize, can you see them getting back into that picture?
They could totally. Will they have healthy goaltending? Is it going to be Kevin Lankinen against the world? If Quinn Hughes is healthy, he's going to drag that team into the playoffs. So yes, I could see them getting back there. Everything management does there, I feel like I have to like refresh my page and make sure it's like not a typo when I see something posted like that Demko contract. I'm going, what are you thinking and why are you doing this a year early? As good as we know Demko can be, it's just like, why are you falling into these traps? Like nobody's forcing you to do this. Even, they were going after Christian Dvorak, and you look at the price that the Flyers ultimately paid, but I don't know if it would have been that high if Vancouver wasn't also in on him. So I just don't know if they have the right direction. I don't love their center depth. I think having Besser is pretty big though, because he's a flawed player, but I think they know how to get the best out of him. And I think Pettersson's going to be better too. I am very curious how he looks under a different coaching staff, because I do think at times Tocchet was trying to get him to be something he's not instead of just playing him to his strengths. So I think all of those things work in their favor, and you can see teams with a solid core, which they have between Pettersson and Besser and Hughes and Demko and Net, do a lot, even if they have replaceable pieces around them. But I mean, I just feel like there's a lot of time for management to screw things up more.
Do you like Mikael Granlund to Anaheim? I think that's just like the ultimate fuck, might as well. Yeah. We have the space, and it seems that we're not going to get any of the other guys, so let's just do it. I like it for them, and I put them as maybe not playoff team, but in the hunt watch. They're on watch to be in the hunt. They won't necessarily be in the hunt, but they'll be kind of in the conversation.
They better be at this point, right? All these teams, we get to enjoy them for like 4 seconds, right? These up-and-coming teams, you look at the Sabres, the Ducks, we have these fun years, and then they just follow it up with painfully boring years. So please, do be interesting. That would be great for everyone. But I like the idea of Granlund there. I don't love the term as much, because it's going to be a little bit different than we saw, like, oh, he has a year left. He can be flipped to a contender, and you can get something out of it. Like, there's a much bigger commitment here. But I also think the Ducks should feel confident knowing if they need him to play big minutes in power play 1, that's when he can play his best hockey, right? Don't bury him on the third line and he'll be fine. And the Sharks showed that versus whatever the hell happened in Pittsburgh a couple years ago. I thought it was interesting. He was one of those few contracts where we saw like a bad team give someone more money to play with them, so they have guys to play around their, up and coming core. I don't think the Sharks did it as much. The Blackhawks sure as hell didn't do it. So cool. But I also feel like of the bad teams, they're the ones that didn't need to do it as much because they have Kreider and Trouba and Killorn already. But it could work there. I'm dying to see these like younger guys progress. And I thought Greg Cronin was going to do that, and it didn't happen. So who knows what'll go on this year.
I did see you write, I think this morning, that a big loser in free agency were the bottom dwelling teams that had a ton of money, because a number of those teams didn't do shit with that money. And DJ mentioned the Granlund ad. It's like, may as well. We've got a bunch of money and it's not going to like kill us or anything. What are these teams like the Sharks or the Blackhawks, who desperately need something to propel them forward a little bit other than just the progression of young guys? Like, what's their next step?
Good question. The Sharks, I liked what they did last year, and they brought in all these players and they filled up their cap with these guys, and then they moved out a lot of pieces at the deadline. You go, okay, that's going to help you with with your rebuild. You have assets in return that you can use, more first round picks. Always a good thing to have. But you're also like taking the pressure off the young guys, because you have other players to step up around them. And I think that's really important, because sometimes with bad teams, we see them draft the superstar, throw them in and go, well, they're going to be our saving grace in them alone. And then you're just overwhelming them day one. And then you worry about what their trajectory is going to be from there, and if you screwed up their developmental path. So I think it would be a good thing to have more guys to go around those young guys. And then you'll have a team of pretty good guys. Like there's a blueprint there to follow. But I think we're kind of seeing not everybody wants to do that, right? Like the money is there from playoff teams and contenders like Vegas, like Carolina. So you don't have to necessarily go to a bad team to get a pretty solid contract. And at the end of the day, you have to make that trade-off. Do you want to make a shit ton of money and just be miserable and hope you get flipped somewhere? Or do you want to play for a pretty good team? So it's going to be tough for the Blackhawks and the Sharks to navigate this. But I think having all that space, like I would imagine they're going to make some trades. So say someone wants to throw an offer sheet out, or say someone wants to sign Ehlers, maybe then a team's going to have to clear cap and they can benefit from it. But it's pretty tough for them. I think it's worse for Chicago right now than San Jose, because at least the vibes in San Jose were so good last year. Like they were the most fun bad team out there, honestly. So that's something to build off of. The Blackhawks have to get to that point first and then try to go upwards.
I said it a million times. I think the Sharks went too far with that shit. I think that they were so fun and they were so bad, and I loved that, and I watched them as much as I possibly could, and it was trading Zetterlund that made me say, you know what, like, fuck it, I'm out on this. Like, you're trading a young guy whose rights you have, like an RF. Thank you for nodding along, because I got so much shit for saying this. People were like, it's a rebuild.
I said the same thing. The Zetterlund trade was my breaking point. Like, that was too far. He's part of the solution, not the problem. Also, don't break up this team too much. I'm 100% with you.
Even Wallman, and I know you got a first-round pick for him, and it's so good of asset management to say we got paid to take him, and then we got a first-round pick. But I'm like, yo, like, you have to have actual NHL players on your team, and you are getting rid of young guys who will be there when you're good. And to your point, I mean, I didn't even bring this up. I could have used that ammunition in my argument of it does take pressure off of these young guys to be like, we've got Jake Wallman. We've got, for some reason, first pairing Jake Wallman to take away from you, all of you guys having to shoulder everything. But yeah, it got to be too much for me, but I'm still pulling for the Sharks to eventually turn it around. We have not discussed Andrew Mangiapane, and I am going to choose to punt on that so I can replace the Mangiapane question with a different Oilers question to fill the Oilers allotment of this show. They didn't do anything in goal. They haven't so far. And the issue that I think they face, because Stan Bowman talked about it when he was saying that, you know, every round of the playoffs, we have the better goaltending until we face Sergei Bobrovsky, and then it all goes to shit. They haven't done anything in net. Do you think that they should have, given what we've seen, or does this kind of not surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me because the free agent market is
ass.
Oh my God, it's so bad. Like, I understand that, right? You don't have a ton of cap space. Don't just give it away to fill a position because your goalie situation sucks. Because I don't know if you're going to get it any better. Maybe you'll get it a little calmer, which I don't understand why this team, through multiple general managers, goes, we need the most chaotic crease in the world. Because even watching Pickard play, he plays so aggressively that I'm like, please get back in your net. Like, I am anxious watching you. So I can't imagine management being like, yes, this is the answer. But I don't think the answer was there in the free agent market. It's just now they have to look for that smart trade. And I think of the Blackwood deal as the perfect model for them to follow. But then you actually have to spot those goalies on bad teams and those cheaper options. And I don't trust management to do it. Like, I had questions about management in the past in Edmonton, but it's even worse with Bowman because I genuinely think he's a bad general manager. So it's even tougher there. But if I'm the Oilers, the guy I am looking at is Shelovs. That is the one I'm going, I want him. He's coming off, winning MVP honors in the AHL final right there. And he's young and he's cheap and he handled chaos in Vancouver. I like his chances, but I could see the Canucks being like, we're going to charge you 10 times more because you're in our division. And it feels like the Canucks are one of these really weirdly stubborn teams about that, right? Because at the end of the day, you should be worried, oh, we don't want to face this guy X times a year. And I understand that. If you're talking about Connor McDavid and Quinn Hughes and Mitch Marner, I'll have that conversation. But when you're not talking about a superstar, so many times teams just like shoot themselves in the foot to avoid trading to someone nearby. So if they can get past that, I feel like that is the perfect trade target for them.
It's also, that's part of the reason why the Demko thing confused me so much, or them jumping to give him an extension. It's like Demko could have been the guy that you trade to the Oilers if you don't like what you see from him next year. But at this point, like, I think Shelovs makes a ton of sense, but also like he's your insurance policy if the Demko thing doesn't work out. Like if you have to stash Demko on LTIR or whatever, like he's your insurance policy. So I agree with you that like they're going to have to look and identify to find their next guy.
We have breaking Oilers news.
Oh boy.
It is two-pronged. One, the Oilers have signed Curtis Lazar on a 1-year contract.
Nice.
That's
two,
the key.
This is the most breaking news of it. Apparently, Curtis Lazar was it says Kings. Oh, okay. Edmonton Oil King. It says we signed former Edmonton Oil Kings star. I misread it in saying like we have signed star forward Curtis Lazar, and I was going to say breaking news was that Curtis Lazar was a star. I chunked that, but that's the breaking news there. They get Curtis Lazar. I like your Shelov's point, and to answer your question of why has multiple management groups said let's get the most chaotic goaltending possible, the answer obviously is because of the Oilers and they're cool as fuck and they want their games to be a party. So I've got no problem with that. Thank you for noting, though, that that Calvin Pickard is way more of a mess than people think. When people were like, you know what, you got to at least know what you're getting with Calvin Pickard. And yes, you're getting a fucking wide open 5-hole or a guy who is doing laps around his net the entire game
and is somehow still the most stable goalie in that team.
Like somehow going to actually calm it down a little bit. But you know what? His point, they are in a tough position. Stu Skinner is the worst goalie to have for this position where they're like, we need to upgrade our goaltending because everybody they look at, okay, at their best, are they better than Stu Skinner at their best? No, because for some reason when Stu Skinner is at his best, he gives up 0 goals for like 5 games in a row. So the problem there is at their best, only like 2 guys in the league are better than Stu Skinner at his best. But they need, like, I wish that somehow Swayman could shake free for them, but it's not going to. And any of these easy fits, it's all going to have to be some sort of a broken toy. And I agree that Shelobs is a good one, but I wonder if the Podkolzin move is going to fucking get in the way of that, where they're like, you know what? We threw away Podkolzin to them, and he ended up being a useful player. Never again.
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
a very, very Canucks problem to have. That is 100% something that could happen, that they're going to be salty and be like, nope, and now more people are going to talk shit about them, and we know they're very sensitive about that.
Canucks just ruining every franchise, including their own. Although I do like, Pete said he likes the Canucks. I kind of do too, because they replaced Brock Besser,
With
and
Brock
then
Besser.
they signed Brock Besser.
Yeah.
They got Evander Kane, which like not a great replacement, but they were like, okay, that's the replacement.
But like even
hi Brock.
Even in keeping Brock Besser, they like fucked themselves because they
Sounds like them.
they let him get to free agency and then they won the free agency sweepstakes for Brock Besser. It's like pretty incredible. I don't know.
It could have been worse, though. Could have been worse. He could have asked for like $9 million, and they could have given it to him, and then you go, "Oh my god, that's a bad contract day one."
Okay, we have kept you way too long, so we're gonna keep you a little longer. Shayna sews.
I did know this. Yeah.
People don't know this about me.
Upcycling, I think is the word,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
How's that going?
It's great. I'm very excited to get back to it because I have not touched my sewing machine in like a month. I've been very busy with all of this chaos of the playoffs, and before that I was like doing wrestling costumes for a party, so now I'm like ready to rip, get back on it. And I cut a bunch of patterns the other day, so I'm pumped.
What machine are you working with?
DJ's getting into sewing.
Yeah, I love this. So I have a Juki. It is my favorite machine in the world. I have the Brother heavy duty serger. It's pretty good. I have the Singer heavy duty manual one. I used to have the computerized one, and it had the thread cutter, but it constantly broke. But the Juki is the best thing I have ever owned, and I don't think I'll ever buy another brand.
Okay, I'm going to be looking into that. I'm just doing the Singer 4411 myself. I was told that if you're getting into sewing, that's the one that you grab, but I don't know. I'm learning about seam allowances, and I'm going to make Pete some jerseys that he has not asked for, but I'm going to do it for him.
That's the key to it. You have to just make a ton of shit and just hand it to people, and they have to be happy because you made them something. And in the beginning, it's probably not going to be good. But then when you make good things, the whole time, like you're excited that they're pumped, but you're going to be staring at them and be like, I made that. And it's the best feeling.
Fuck yes. All right, Shayna, you are the greatest. Appreciate you coming on. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
We all silly like the mayor.
But this is one of the best power plays ever assembled in the history of the game. Full stop.
The Oilers, who have started a little wishy-washy this season, as is their wont, have broken up their legendary power play unit. they have broken up Hyman in front of the net, Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, Draisaitl down low, Evan Bouchard on the blue line. That, as it is 2 for 19 this season, 10.5%, 28th in the NHL, 10.5%, below 11%, if you know what I mean. That might be Mark Spector's music. They've broken up that power play, which I guess it shouldn't surprise us totally because Hyman hasn't been scoring, which has been weird. He's got this record for the worst start by a 50-goal scorer the next season ever. So that's a bit of a bummer. But we should have known because more and more we would see a second power play unit hit the ice. We'd be like, why the fuck is Darnell Nurse on the Oilers are on the power play? They play these guys the entire 2 minutes, and they never really have to because they score within the first 22 seconds. Leon Draisaitl just bangs one in from the goal line, or Hyman taps one in from the asshole. It wasn't happening. So they have broken up the first power play unit. They've moved Zach Hyman and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who quite frankly, Nuge was my least favorite part of this power play to begin the season. He just didn't really look himself. But they've broken it up. They now have 2 more kind of balanced power play units. We'll bring in Petey in just a minute to discuss it because I know he has thoughts on that. But Sean, if you could bring up what Mark Spector wrote on Sportsnet, because Pete has not seen or heard this, we are going to read it to him. We are going to get his reaction. Can you just do the camera just on Pete, or is that going to be difficult? Okay. Mark Spector on sportsnet.ca. I saw this screen grab and I needed to make sure this was real. Wrote, some breakups are inevitable, like Emily and Paris's old fling or the high school love who went off to a different university. Then there are more regretful ones like the Beatles, or worse, the Titanic.
What?
Awesome.
I don't know how the Titanic was a breakup.
I mean, it
Well,
quite literally
it was
broke in
literally
half.
the boat broke.
up.
It broke in half.
So that's okay. I just wanted to make sure.
I don't know if that's exactly what he was trying to do there, but
So, where does splitting up the best power play unit in hockey fit in the long list of broken hearts and busted dreams? Later, he adds, is replacing Nugent Hopkins with Arvidsson doomed to resemble, oh my God, Sammy Hagar's bleeding attempt at fronting Van Halen for David Lee Roth? Does Skinner fit in seamlessly with McDavid and Draisaitl, or is he Yoko Ono? Insane piece of writing from Mark Spector for a few reasons. Putting Jeff Skinner on Yoko Ono watch, amazing behavior. Love it. Hilarious stuff. But as my rock friends, and I think that Petey, not to stereotype, but he's a white man, I think that as Petey can attest, Sammy Hagar was a fine replacement for David Lee Roth. I could see him off camera.
He is nodding in the background.
So let's bring Petey on. Sammy Hagar, I think that one of Van Halen's top 5 songs is Right Now.
Yeah, it's not like Journey where they go a totally different direction. It's the same. It's a rock star. Like Sammy Hagar literally was a rock star at the time. Absolutely insanity. They did not lose a step with Sammy Hagar. Now, will they lose a step with Arvidsson and Skinner? But this is one of the best power plays ever assembled in the history of the game. Full stop. That's it. Like, they're still producing opportunities. They're still getting scoring chances. First of all, this is national news because they practiced like this. We're talking about practice. They haven't played in a game like this. Like, if they come out Friday, and I'm still not convinced that they're going to mix these up in the game. I'm not. This might be, you talk about what a genius their coach is. Maybe this is just a coaching ploy. And we're practicing. Okay, you guys you're not producing on the power play. Let's break you up.
Hey, thanks for watching the channel.
We appreciate everybody who checks out our stuff, but 80% of our viewers are not actually subscribed to this page. So if you could smash that subscribe button, it would go a very long way for us.
The more subscriptions we have, the more visibility we get from YouTube, which allows us to do more.
So press that button. Thank you.
Like, you don't break up 3 guys on the best power play in the history of the game. Evan Bouchard's one-timer from the top. You're getting rid of that. But Hyman in front, you're going to get rid of that for Skinner and Arvidsson? Like, I don't believe it. I think it's just a ploy to do it in practice, and watching the media take over, and we are that. That's us taking over. Like, they haven't done it in a game yet. Let's wait. Maybe they do it the first time to just go, okay, guys, like, this is what could happen if you guys don't get your shit together. So I'm not convinced yet.
I do think it could maybe be a little bit of a attempt at fixing themselves 5-on-5? Because right now their first power play.
Yeah.
So you're going to say
I like this because it gives them an opportunity to get Arvidsson going.
Arvidsson with Skinner, and so I don't know if we've said what it is yet, but it's Arvidsson, Draisaitl, Skinner, McDavid, and Bouchard.
So you still do have the big three with McDavid, Draisaitl, and Bouchard on that top unit.
Didn't you have Ekholm on that top unit?
Now Ekholm is on the second unit with Darnell Nurse, Hyman, Nuge, and
I saw
Henrique,
one run of practice where we had Ekholm there. So I'm just saying.
Oh,
that's
gotcha.
one you can't change. You can't.
I
can't
wouldn't
change
love
Bouchard.
that.
You can't
I think you need Bouchard on the top unit. So, like, I like this with the caveat that it should only be temporary because you have the fucking Beatles. If we're gonna criticize Mark Spector, I'm gonna give him credit. Calling the Oilers' top power play unit the Beatles is cool. I like it. I'm going to continue doing that. You have the Beatles. So you mix things up. You get them going a little bit at 5-on-5. You get some steam behind Victor Arvidsson. Maybe the change gives him a kick in the pants as a power play unit and spreads things out a little bit. But at some point, when water finds its level, you have to go back to that superstar unit and you have to run them into the ground because you have the Beatles and it's a strength that nobody else in the league has basically ever had.
And what would the Beatles do, Petey, when they either weren't getting along or they didn't really feel like themselves? They'd bring in one more. They'd say, okay, Eric Clapton's going to sit in on this session so we can't yell at each other. Or Billy Preston's going to come in and he's just going to play the piano. It's going to sound better, but also we're going to know we can't be fucking assholes and waste this guy's time. So does sprinkling in, like, I don't know that Victor Arvidsson is Billy Preston, but like, does at least changing a little bit of it get their attention to say, all right, maybe we need to sit up a little straighter?
And is Ryan Nugent Hopkins Pete Best? And the one piece on this, like he could be replaced. And Nuge has been very successful in there because he can come downhill there and he does have a shot that's effective and can move the puck. But is he the one guy on here that you could replace and still continue to be one of the best bands in the world by taking Pete Best and putting Ringo Starr? Maybe. And that's the one I don't mind. Hyman with Arvidsson, I don't like that at all. And Bouchard for Ekholm, if that happens, I don't like that. Nugent Hopkins to me is the one piece you can still move on this and still have some success. And whether that is trying to jumpstart Arvidsson or not, maybe that's Skinner in that spot because he can distribute the puck well. He's a very talented guy in that same spot. Not worried about the Oiler power play. Look where the Oilers were a season ago at this time of the year. I think it's way too early to panic on the Oil. Skinner, I think, is starting to right his ship already. But I don't think it's panic time. I'm excited to see what they actually do in the game, whether it's just a first period adjustment. Hey, we're going to do this for the first period, just see what happens. And maybe, you know what, maybe they get 2 goals in the first on the power play. And all of a sudden you've got 2 power play units. But this Oiler power play, they eat up a minute and a half, a minute and 40 right now. Like them, they don't need 2 power play units when they have their top unit going. So maybe a balanced attack gives those guys a little more rest. Maybe it makes 97 better 5-on-5 because he's not playing those extra minutes. Maybe 29, who I don't think is really off to the start he wants. Maybe that gets him on track because he's not eating all those minutes on the special team. So there's a lot that goes into it. I just want to see how it plays out in one game first.
Yeah, I said earlier in the show, I don't think I knew what the Oilers' second power play unit was last season. I could have
they didn't have one.
Guessed some guy like every now and then they would throw. You'd be like, oh, like Nurse is out there. That's fun for him or something. But like you just didn't really know what it was. Yeah. And I remember we talked to Bob Stauffer this offseason and we were like, hey, they're going to be getting ready for another deep playoff run. Do you think that maybe they do 2 power play units this season? And he was like, no, they are going to score 1 million goals with the best power play unit ever. I do think, and this will be like maybe my last comment on the Oilers before we talk about some Utah Hockey Club. I think the beginning of the season has been a little bit of an adjustment back to kind of real life where Stu Skinner got so locked into being one of the best players on the ice that I think we thought the season would start and it wouldn't be inconsistent Stu Skinner. That was a wrong thought to have. The visual on Saturday against the Stars of Connor Brown having a breakaway, taking a slap shot and missing the net instead of scoring like every game like he did in the postseason, like some of the things that just came to be for this perfectly, no pun intended, well-oiled machine. it was going to become a regular season kind of feeling things out again sort of thing. And that's where the Oilers were. But to your point, Petey, I am not worried about the goalie right now. I thought that his performance against Carolina was one of the best individual performances I've seen from a player across the NHL this season. There's going to be inconsistency there, but by and large, I think they are going to be fine.
We all silly like the mayor.